Oh, we are back, kids. We are back. The first major newsworthy type event of the offseason. We've all been waiting for it, guys. We've all been waiting for it. What's Fitz going to do? He said the group from last year wasn't good enough. We're going to come back with a new team. Well, what's a general manager to do? What's Fitzy to do? The Florida Panthers skated the cup last night. I know a lot of you were probably watching that. What a team. What a team. But the Florida Panthers skate the cup, and today Tom Fitzgerald is open for business, sending Erik Haula to the Nashville Predators for, I don't want to butcher this guy's name, Jeremy Hanzel, and a fourth-round pick. I'll take it. A classic salary dump. First, I would like to say thank you to Erik Haula for his service as a New Jersey Devil. He was an admirable soldier. Kind of had a rough most of last season. He obviously had the elongated streak, but definitely salute to Erik Haula for his time as a New Jersey Devil. I will not forget it. Highlighted by his pretty impressive 22-23 playoffs. That's kind of when I personally, I always had a little bit of a soft spot for Haula, even when he was going through the struggles. I always liked Erik Haula. I thought he's a character guy. I thought, a lot of the guys in the locker room really liked him. I've seen his interactions kind of behind the scenes with some of his teammates, and I think he's one of those guys that pretty much everybody likes. And yeah, I will never forget. But he had a monster 22-23 playoffs. I think he had how many points did he have? I meant to pull it up here. I lost it. I had it up here. Let me see. Computer's going slow tonight. Yeah, he had 7 points in the playoffs, 4 goals, 3 assists. He had that, I think he had a 3-point night, game 5 against the Rangers. I was in attendance for that game. That was phenomenal. Big game 5. Series tied up 2-2. Devils come back. Haula with a big game. Devils take the 3-2 lead. Then they go to New York and lose game 6 in the potential closeout. But then they brought it back for game 7 and took care of business. But that is kind of when I really, developed a soft spot, I would say, for Erik Haula. A nice performance there. And then he really won me over, and this should come as no surprise. In the next round, he fought Stefan Noesen. At the time, former New Jersey Devil Stefan Noesen, who obviously became a New Jersey Devil last offseason, and they became teammates. But when I saw him drop the gloves with Noesen, I was like, oh, man, Erik Haula has balls of steel because Noesen is going to beat the brakes off of him. And he kind of did, but Haula stood in there, and you know what? He gave a valiant effort, and that was the night that I was like, I'm a Haula fan for sure. So thank you to Erik Haula for his service and his time as New Jersey Devil. Unfortunately, we did not advance past the second round at any point with him here, but that was a fun little season there in 22-23. Hopefully we can eclipse that season in terms of the playoffs. Franchise record, 112 points, guys. What a team. Beautiful 7-game series victory over the Rangers before ultimately getting crushed by the Carolina Hurricanes. But the first move, Fitz's summer, 2.75 schmilly off the books. And the Devils have around now with that maneuver, I think around $14 million in cap space. But do not forget, guys, we have plenty of bottom 6 roles to fill. And I do believe, just to use round numbers, I'll say around $9 million or so of that available cap space will in fact be going to Luke Hughes on his extension. I believe it'll fall somewhere around, that $9 million mark, which leaves $5 million, which, $2.75 million cleared from Haula is better than we were this morning. However, Fitz got to shed some more money. And obviously everyone's pointing at Palat, right? Palat's another guy I think is a soldier. I've enjoyed him as a Devil. I do think last season, obviously, we asked a little bit much of him that he was not able to really, deliver on, I would say, in a top 6 role. But I do like Palat. But in the end, $6 million is a vast overpayment for what he brings at this point. And so if they were able to move on from him, either by, sweetening the pot with picks, possibly retention, a combination of the two, I do think there is a path to shedding that money, which would put us in a much better position than we are now, obviously. Having around 14 million, you shed Palat 6 million. Now you have about 20 million. If you give Luke 9, that leaves you with 11 million bucks. 11 million, again, not going to go too far, especially in this climate now with the cap going up. I do think you're going to see some crazy contracts. I think Trent Frederick got 4 million bucks times 8, I believe, was announced earlier this afternoon. And there's a lot of rumors swirling around about other guys getting paid big money. And so, again, I've tried to explain to people in this environment with the cap going up, look at the percentage of cap dollars, because the contracts that a lot of people are used to, it's different now with the cap going up. The contracts are going to get crazy. Contracts are going to get absolutely crazy, but freeing up the Palat money, that gives the Devils some options. If you're talking about, 11 million bucks, and that's before we even get to Mercer, but just with Palat, that would get us to 11 million. You could get a impact player, and fill your other needs with that money. Now, it's not going to be like a superstar. A lot of people are just out they want the big flashy names. Like, we're not getting Mitch Marner, guys. I hate to break it to you. Like, we are not even going to be in on Marner. I'm sure he has no interest in coming here. I do think there'll be probably at least a few teams really in on him when it's all said and done before he ultimately signs somewhere. But getting Marner would be a mistake. While I'd be excited about it, I've said this before, obviously, how could you get Mitch Marner and not be excited? I don't think that is the best usage of cap dollars. And I still don't think, even with shedding some more money, we'll be able to afford him. There's rumors out there like 13, 14 million. But anyway, Palat is the most logical next one. A lot of people have been pointing to Dougie Hamilton. And I will say, I've defended Dougie forever. Another guy that I really do like. And while he's probably slightly overpaid, again, you have to overpay guys often to get them in free agency. It's just the name of the game. And you're going to see that this summer. And with the cap, some of you people are going to be shocked with some of these contracts. But we had to overpay Dougie a little bit to get him here in free agency. And I do think a lot of people will miss him when he's gone. While he does have some defensive deficiencies, I do think, he is our best offensive defenseman still. Him and Luke. Obviously, Luke's kind of nipping at his heels. But Dougie, while we don't see the Dougie bomb as much, he has that real wrister, the snapper, could kind of make plays, play on the power play. So I'm a Dougie guy. If there's a deal that makes sense, I'm not opposed to it, but I would not want to just move on from him for the sake of moving on from him, especially if you're not bringing in another like high level defenseman. Obviously, now another side tangent, talking about like the Quinn Hughes thing. In that scenario, I'd be comfortable with it, obviously, and it would be the most sensible, and probably might have to be necessity, really, to send Dougie to Vancouver, and any potential deal for Quinn, should that happen before he becomes a free agent. But to move on from Dougie and just think that someone else is going to pick up the slack, like a guy like Nemitz. I like Nemitz. I do think he has potential. I do think he's going to become a great defenseman. He had a great playoff after a little bit of an up and down year. He struggled a little bit. A lot of people said, he's a new system. He was in Utica. He came up and he struggled a little bit. But I think it is kind of a fool's errand if you just believe that we could move on from Dougie and Nemitz is just going to pick right up and we're not going to skip a beat. If you guys remember last season when Dougie went down, how much we missed him. It was very evident. And while we may be slightly more insulated from that now, I do think in his absence, a lot of people will be like, damn, like maybe we should have kept Dougie. And so I do think that at some point the Devils will move on from him because of the abundance of defensemen we have, especially young defensemen trying to break into the lineup. But I don't think it's this year. I would be a little shocked if it happened, but if the right deal comes along, I think Fitz would do it. I just don't know if it's the right time for me personally. And maybe it's something you revisit next summer or during the season next year. I don't know. But if I had to pick, I would prefer to keep Dougie again, unless he's going in a deal for Quinn or something like that. But to move on from him and just think that one of the kids is going to be able to fill his role seamlessly, I think is wild. All right. Brings me to the next one and the most logical one. And it wouldn't be a salary dump, but could be moved in a deal to improve the team. And obviously we're looking at Dawson Mercer, right? Again, another guy. I like everybody, guys. I don't really, a lot of you have animus or anger and hatred towards players. I don't really get that for the most part on guys on the Devils, unless they do something egregious or something. But, I do think that, when you watch these playoffs, we have a lot of similar players. And at some point, hard decisions are going to have to be made. People have been talking about it. Bill Zito made a lot of crazy ballsy trades, like trading Huberdeau and all that stuff to get Kachuk. He's made some other ballsy ones. Like, at some point you have to make a trade that you're like, ooh, like, people, like, there's a reaction to it because it's a move. Like, it's a meaningful move that you're kind of gambling to some extent, not to go make crazy deals, but not every deal could be a, like a no-brainer, like a Larson for Taylor Hall, 1-for-1. Like, that's a no-brainer deal. You can't expect every deal to be like that. And so you have to, at some point, take chances that you strongly believe in. Zito, again, makes moves with conviction. He did that deal to bring in Tkachuk, and the franchise was changed ever since. But I do think at some point you look at this team and you're like, we need to get a little bit bigger, a little bit nastier, especially in the top 6 if possible. And could you possibly put Mercer in a deal for a guy like Tuck or someone along those lines? I forget, in the comments yesterday, someone mentioned Tage Thompson. I think that's a pipe dream as well. But yeah, I would love Tage Thompson. I just don't think that's realistic. But I do think there's a lot of options, and it is exciting. Again, shout out to Erik Haula, not to applaud, his departure, but that cap space, getting added to what they have available, I think is going to help them moving forward into the summer. And again, more money's got to come off, and there's options. There's options there. Let me get to some comments here. You guys are talking about Toffoli. Oh, I want to. That'll bring me to my next point. But someone said, "Isn't Toffoli on $6 million same as Plot?" Yeah, he is. But this is what I wanted to. That kind of brings me into my next kind of topic. Let me just think. Closing thoughts on Haula. Yeah, playoff beast in 22-23. Balls of steel to fight Nason. I mean, that was crazy. And then my lasting memory is the most recent one, which was just a stupid, funny thing, was his little spat with Daniel Amoya in the locker room after he had that, pointless drought. That one, I'll never forget that. That was kind of funny. It doesn't happen too often. And he was kind of getting at Daniel Amoya in the locker room. That'll be my last memory of Haula. All right, but now onto the Toffoli, right? Okay, so people throw out names every day. Ehlers, this guy, Robertson, tons of guys. The reality is, as it stands right now with this roster, almost every name you guys are going to throw out there would make the Devils better and technically be an improvement. So that's a no-brainer. The bar is like on the floor right now, given where we kind of finished last year with the bottom 6 drying up. The bar is low. So all these names technically are an improvement and would make the team better to some extent. However, in the cap world we live in, every move has to be methodical and be, at this juncture where the Devils are now, there's not a lot of, even with freeing up money, there's going to be a lot of flexibility. And so everything has to be methodical and precise. So while some of these names would technically make the team better, you have to look at it and say, is that the most ideal usage of our cap dollars? Is that the most ideal player we can get for this position or role or whatever it is? And so when you talk about, just for example, a guy like Toffoli, would getting Toffoli here make the team better? Assuming you don't trade one of our huge pieces, absolutely. Absolutely. We obviously felt his absence last season. Fitz never replaced him with another legitimate top 6 guy. We struggled offensively for most of the season. Once the big guns dried up, a lot of times the bottom 6 couldn't produce, vice versa. And so it was just a mess. We did feel his absence. But while he would make the team better, is he the most ideal guy to get? And I'm going to say emphatically no. No. And I love Tyler Toffoli. I'm definitely a Toffoli guy. That's one of the guys. He might rank up there for me in terms of favorite players or level of favoritism, I guess, for a guy that was only here for 1 year. He was only here for one. He wasn't even here for the whole year. He was here for up to the trade deadline. I liked him a lot. Liked Toffoli a lot. Thought he had some swagger. He brought the veteran leadership. I think a lot of the kids looked up to him. Obviously had a hell of a shot, could score, nose for the net. But in the end, where the Devils are now, is he the most or the best type of piece for the Devils puzzle? And I'm going to say no. Again, he does make the team better, but he is not the mold or the, not ideal, in my opinion, for what the Devils need to inject into the lineup now to change the DNA of this team and push them forward towards a cup. So Toffoli, for me, again, would make us better. Not ideal. I do think there's better guys. And I think that same logic applies to tons of guys. People are talking about Marco Rossi and Robert. There's tons of guys. Yes, they would all make this a better team. But you have limited resources, limited cap space, limited assets and trade pieces to send off to get these guys. And so you have to be methodical. You have to be laser precise, and you have to pick the right type of pieces to add to the group. And I don't think a lot of these guys are ideal. I'm going to have a video coming out soon about a lot of the names being thrown out there in the next couple weeks. But Pyro Gob, getting Plot off the books for the cost of less than a first-round pick would be a big W, but Hall is a good start and opens up a third-line spot for Gritsuk. Yeah, I fully expect Gritsuk to be on the opening day lineup. Would be shocked if he wasn't. I think you could pretty much pencil him in to start off the season in the bottom six, and who knows, maybe he could play his way into a top six role at some point in the season, especially if we do not get a top six guy in free agency or via trade before then. Just depends, too, if Fitz can keep Luke's contract on the low, too, but I'm expecting 8 to 8.5 times 8. Yeah, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 9. Michael says he would take that. Billy D, what's up? Nice to see you back with a live show. Ace, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Michael, I think they have to sign Luke by next week in order to know what money they can spend on day one of free agency. You'd like to see that, but it could kind of bleed on like we saw with Mercer. Hopefully not. Mercer, I think, technically missed like one day of camp or something. Hopefully Luke gets handled before that, but even if it's not, I would assume that they would have an idea of, in the end, what they're going to have to pony up for Luke, and that wouldn't inhibit their spending too much, and that they still may have, even when free agency opens, ideas of potential deals kind of on the back burner for the future to free up money before Luke actually has to be signed. So that doesn't worry me too much. Obviously, we're all just kind of nosy and want it to be done and have Luke here and know what the number is so we could continue, all of these conversations. But at some point, I do believe it gets done. There's been stories or rumors out there that supposedly the Devils and Luke were both open to a bridge deal, which I think would be maniacal, given, again, what I expect Luke to blossom into on the ice and what the cap will continue to go up. If you sign him on a bridge deal for a few years, I mean, when that comes back around, you're talking about he could possibly be like a $12 million player then. I mean, that's where these salaries are going, guys. You're going to be shocked this summer. James, nice. A live show. Now we got 15 million worth of cap space. Sign Luke and get a couple forwards. I think it's closer to 14. It was a couple weeks ago. I looked, it was like 12. Now I think it was more like 11.3 or something before the Haula. But yeah, somewhere in that 14 to 15 million range. James says, bring Brady to NJ. The dream has died for me, my man. Chico, what's going on? Crazy. We got fourth round pick for dumping Haula. What is Trotz doing in Nashville? I mean, I don't know. Maybe he thinks some more kind of veterans could help the group. I guess Haula is going to be getting technically a slight raise, right? Because Nashville's a tax-free state. We saw that advantage come out when they got Stammer and Marchessault last season. So yeah, his checks are going to be taxed at a lower rate. He's going to be playing in a fun city. I wish Erik Haula the best of luck. James, I'll never forget Palat's assist in Game 7 to McLeod for the game winner, but unfortunately, I think he peaked in the 22-23 season. Yeah, that was a great effort by Palat and a great finish by Mikey McLeod in Game 7. I was also there for that. What a night to be a fan. Louis NJ, what's up? Christmas came early, boys. Well, I'm not going to call this Christmas, but free up some more money and maybe we could start making some exciting, splashy acquisitions or trades. You have a shot. What's going on? Joseph Antonio says Palat and Dougie next. I'm a Dougie guy. I'm not against the move if it makes sense, if it improves the team, but I do think, again, Dougie's absence will be felt. And if you guys all just assume that a kid is going to pick up the slack, and fill Dougie's shoes, I think you're mistaken. Nice to see other 6 Devils fans on the internet. We're a small market team, guys. We are a small market team. Chico says, neat side note, Jeremy Hanzel is the first player of Chinese descent in the organization, probably going to split time between the ECHL and AHL, though. Yeah, it's kind of a throw, and I don't expect him to be in the lineup, obviously. We have a ton of defensemen. Lobsty, Fitz needs to be the next one to leave if he doesn't know what depth scoring is. Chico, I turned on Haula after he got snarky with the reporter after scoring his first goal since dinosaur times, and he never really won me back. I think he was kind of in the wrong, but it was kind of funny. I think, Daniel probably felt pretty uncomfortable in the moment, but it was pretty funny. It made for good TV or a good clip. Robert, got to get younger, liked his passion and Boston accent, but got to get bigger and saucy, right, man? Oh, I'm with you, Robert. Bigger and saucy. I like it. I like where your head's at. If you've watched the playoff wars, you have seen what it takes to win in this league. It should come as a surprise to no one who has ever watched playoff hockey before. The playoffs are a mental and physical war, and teams like the Florida Panthers are built to win, period. Period. Just animals. Dogs everywhere. What a team. What a fun team to watch. I'm so jealous of their fans. If you haven't seen it, I did do a kind of, a Stanley Cup Finals, my kind of thoughts. I put out a video earlier today. I'll drop that link if you're interested in that. I kind of talk about, the finals and where Florida goes from here with some of their free agents and all that stuff and blah, 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 and what it means for Connor McDavid. But check that out if you haven't seen that. Tasha, I'm a little scared this is a non-directional move. I'm sadly embracing my doomer mentality. Scared we're going to miss the playoffs again. This Hanzel is a D-man and people want Dougie gone. I don't know. I think you're looking too much into it. The D-man's a throw-in. He's not going to be on our NHL roster. And we freed up $2.75 million of cap space. So I'm going to say it's a very positive move in the right direction. Now we got to free up some more. Louis says, Tosh, are you mental? How is this non-directional? Haula was a non-factor last season and moving him freed up like $4 million. I think it was 2.75. What's going on? Traveling Hall's time has come and gone. Good luck to him. And it's nice. We free up a spot for someone that can score more than once every 90 days. Pyro Gaba, we bring back Cody Glass. He's not really on my radar. I wouldn't be shocked if he's back, but it would all depend on money. Like I think he made like 2.5 last year. Like we can't pay him 2.5. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, he made 2.5 last year. I do think you could invest that money much better than Cody Glass. No offense to him, but 2.5 million for him, I'm not interested. League minimum, I consider it. Maybe a little more, but 2.5, I'm a hard pass. Sean, maybe this is the lower money Devils spend on salaries to eventually get Quinn. It could be. Well, I do think Quinn's eventually going to be a Devil for sure. Whether that's in free agency in 2 more seasons or if the Canucks cash him in and try to make a deal sooner, it could be. But some of the rumored things are speculative packages people have thrown out there for Quinn Hughes are just ridiculous. Like prices that I would never pay if I was the Devils, and I would laugh at them if they thought it was realistic, especially considering everyone knows that he wants to play with his brothers and he's a free agent in 2 years. Giving up the farm to get him 2 years earlier is just crazy. I do think there's a value to getting him 2 years earlier, obviously. I would love to have him 2 years earlier if that's what they're doing. Again, I've been very vocal that with that type of cap space and assets to trade, I would much prefer to target high impact forwards versus getting a guy like Quinn. But it seems like it's inevitable that Quinn's going to be here. And so I would prefer not to burn a ton of players and draft capital to get him 2 years sooner. Now I would pay something reasonable, but I'm not giving up the farm to get him 2 years sooner. Southern Devils fan, when will the schedule come out? I believe last year it came out on July 4th or 5th. So it comes out a little bit after free agency. So it is something, it's an exciting couple of weeks now coming up. We have the draft, obviously free agency opening up on July 1 and then the schedule release. So, it's a couple of things to look forward to as the offseason continues here. Luke says this is great. I don't know. What was that in reference to, Luke? I'm behind. I got to try to catch up here. A lot of people want Glass back as a 4C. Again, for me, it all just comes down to money. Traveling, find someone that understands how you need to play to go deep. I mean, if anyone watched the playoffs, I mean, it is what it is. The overwhelming evidence is there for you. I'd like Glass back as well. Wouldn't mind Sprong back if he comes back. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Sprong, I'm kind of on the fence with as well. Like, is there no better options in free agency or within the system? I guess time will tell. Sprong did have some small little moments, but to me, that's kind of another underwhelming kind of, bring back. But I wouldn't be furious at it, especially if there's some impactful moves actually made in the summer, but we're going to have to see. Ritter engine, Dougie needs to go. Damaged goods, that'll never be the same. Yeah, a lot of you guys are just so down on Dougie. Cap's going up, but that's a lot of money tied up in 2 very similar D-men. It is, but Luke, if we can get rid of Plot without retention, we are winning. I think it's possible if you sweeten the pot with picks or something, you may not have to retain. I mean, listen, for as much as people bash Chris Drury, right? Last season, Drury was able to dump Trouba off to Anaheim. He brought in JT Miller, which I would have liked the Devils to do that if they had a chance. I would have potentially, I wasn't like dead set on it, but I wasn't against it, and I thought it could have been a beneficial move because he is one of those guys that kind of brings all of those elements that I've been talking about for a while. But then this year, yesterday or 2 days ago, he dumps Kreider off there. So other GMs find a way to get rid of these contracts that are kind of weighing them down. And Fitz got one out today. Now, can he do a much bigger one? Palat makes more than double. Stanley 62495. Haula was a breath of fresh air after watching Zach underwell from several years. Hall had a difficult time staying healthy last couple of years. Shocking. I wish him well. Robert, yes, crazy Devils fan. How many of you cried and took night off work for 2000 Real Cup? The 2000 Cup team, man. Unbelievable. Tasha says, personally would have preferred getting rid of Palat over Hall, but whatever. Well, maybe he's going to go as well. Chico, Dougie's been a good soldier. Luke Hughes is the future, and especially with Quinn probably coming over too, he's the odd man out for sure. But let's include him in the deal for Quinn if that's going to happen. I don't want to be in the position where we move on from Dougie and then you're like, oh shit, our defense took a major hit. Like, I don't know that we're prepared without someone else coming in either the deal involving Dougie or a separate deal around the same time, that the defense will not kind of feel that. I think that would be a monster loss if it's not patched with someone else coming in at some point. SST, getting rid of Haula was a 3C is one thing, but you need to find a better replacement, which the market cannot offer at the moment. Well, we don't know that yet. Michael, we need to trade for a player with a contract and settle deal. Free agents are going to be expensive. Free agency is going to be nuts. You might be better off in the trade market, right? With someone under team control at a reasonable number. Jay Snow, we desperately need a center. Tasha, we need some people to win faceoffs. Jack doesn't really take them due to his shoulder, and Nico takes them all. It is true. Nico's a faceoff horse. Chico, I'm still holding out hope for Marner, but I've heard he was a massive change, probably going to end up in Vegas. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And again, Vegas is in on everybody. Every year you hear the Golden Knights, like all the people that they've gotten over the years. It's insane. And I think the first, maybe it was James Neal, a trader was James Neal in the expansion draft. I can't remember, but they had some big name guys come through there right away for the organization. The Art of Pimpin' says, let's wait to get Quinn. No need to trade any assets to get him. That's kind of where I'm at, unless it's a reasonable deal. There is a value to getting him 2 years sooner. Jason, no, you really want Marner's playoffs? Scare me. Chico, it sounds like all Buffalo wants out. Maybe the Thompson dream isn't dead. Would love to get him. Would love Tage Thompson. He would be high on my list of like what I would call somewhat realistic dreams. Like, people will throw out the crazy names and it's like they're not leaving their team, obviously. But like Tage Thompson is one that I could see potentially happening way more so than some of the other names people are throwing out. I would love Tage Thompson. Would love it. I'd even love, I'd like Tuck a lot as well. Tasha, agree with Ace on Dougie. Jason, no, maybe who the hell is playing on Jack's win next year? And that for me is the most pressing thing. Again, Toffoli wasn't replaced. We upgraded the defense and the goaltending significantly with the defenders we brought in: Pesci, Kovacevic, Dilly, Dilly. Yeah. And then, got some forwards up front, but Toffoli not replaced. And I do think we need a top 6 winger who's a dog to play with Jack. And that's why I fantasized about Brady so much for all that time. The dream's officially over for me now, but he would be a perfect winger for Jack Hughes. And you maybe find a poor man's version. Select the boy. What's up, Devils folks? And Ace, what's going on? Robert, love Dawson, but come on, need grit, please. I agree. Luke, Mercer's time is over. He hasn't been good enough. Listen, I've defended him forever as well. You could put him out there in every scenario. Not a lot of guys that you could do that with, but it's just, again, just redundant of the smaller guys that are just not going to win some of those battles you need to win. I mean, he's got heart and he'll get in there and be feisty, but we can't be getting tossed around every night. And it's happened at points of a lot of games. Val says you cannot. Oh shit! I hit something. You cannot build a cup winner around Jack Hughes. You just cannot. I don't know that I agree or disagree with that. I think he could be a valuable member of a cup winning team. I don't know if I would necessarily say you're building a team around him per se. But hopefully, he could put on some size, rehab, put his injuries finally behind him, play 82 games and have a monster playoffs at some point. That's what you have to hope for. Obviously, the injuries have been brutal to deal with. The shoulders are what they are. But I think at some point, hopefully he gets the man bones, I think, as Fitz called it, and he could play regularly because he is lethal when he's in the lineup. But the key part of that phrase is when he's in the lineup. Moggy, what's going on? P-Funk says amazing news. Tasha says we have to pray Gritsuk is good, though. It's no guarantee his game transfers over to the NHL. I think he's definitely going to be on the team to start the season for sure. Now, what he finishes the season with, I have no idea. Hold on one second, guys. I got something going on in the background. I'll be back 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, I think he's going to be in the opening day lineup. What are realistic expectations for him? I don't know. I think I'd be thrilled with like 2020 for a 40-point season, and that might be asking a lot of him as well. We'll see. We'll see. Need size and a crazy Sean Avery type of players to stir the pot, bring Pepe out of retirement. Oh, boy. Would love the Pep. What a legend. Alex's great cap dump by Fitz. Brandon, I think Palat trade away would be great and bring Besser in his place. Yeah, he's another guy again. Would he make the team better? Yes. Is he the ideal guy to allocate that type of money to? I'm going to say no to him as well. I am going to say no to him as well. Alex, Toffoli is happy in San Jose for some unknown reason. Probably because the weather's awesome there, and he probably has a ton of fun with all the kids on that team, Celebrini and Will Smith and all those guys. He's always joking around and hanging out with them. Chico, Toffoli wouldn't be my main get or my backup. I think the thing that bothers me and others is that Toffoli was a guy we had and gave up seemingly for no reason. It wasn't for no reason. It was $6 million. Again, you guys know I have many, 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 many criticisms of Tom Fitzgerald, and I've been very vocal about them. Not re-signing Tyler Toffoli certainly will not be one of my criticisms. Now, to piggyback on that, I will say one of my criticisms would be not replacing him with somebody and bringing in bringing Tatar back and hoping he would fill that void. At that point, we had spent a lot of money on defense and everybody else. We had very little money left, and so I understood why he did it at the time. It was a kind of a low-risk, high reward potential move, and it did not pan out. But that was a risky move. And I didn't want to pay Toffoli $6 million, and I love Toffoli. I'm a Toffoli guy, but $6 million I thought could have been spent better elsewhere. Mr. Magic need the boys to run it back one more time. Tasha, I think that unknown reason would be Celebrini and Will Smith. Yeah. Yep. Robert, need controversy. Marty said in his book a lot of guys didn't like each other. Stevens and Marty had fistfights, as per Jim Dowd, but they won. I never heard of Marty fist fighting anybody. I've heard of some stories involving Stevens potentially. Mr. Magic, I don't want Marner. Phil, Devils. I'd like to see the Devils take a run at Ehlers in free agency. Another guy I don't want. Nope. I'm passing on him as well. I want Marner. It's a 100-point player, does literally everything, PP, PK, etc. Listen, I get it. I'd be ecstatic if we got him, but part of me would be like, I wish we were spending that money on other guys. Hypothetically, Chico, this one's for you, Chico. I think I already know how you're going to answer, but just for shits and giggles, Chico, this goes out to you, this question. hypothetically, let's just say, I'm not even going to assign numbers to it, but let's just say you could sign Marner to some monster 8-year deal of some stupid number, or you could, for the same cap hit per year, you could get both Marchand and Bennett. Now, this is totally pipe dreams, hypothetical, never going to happen. I totally understand that. But I'm just curious, would you rather have those two guys or Marner? And I think I actually saw this posted a few weeks ago by some hockey account. And I thought it was interesting because the numbers may play out that way. But now with some of the reports about Marchand, the two of them combined could end up making a good chunk more than Marner will. But I'm curious, what's going on, Stick Figs? I want whatever keeps our 2030 to 2032 window from winning open. Chico, Bratt Hughes Marner would immediately be a top 5 line in the NHL. It would, but again, is that a line that you think is going to perform in playoff warfare? If I'm being honest, I'm going to say no. I think they get shut down. I hate to be pessimistic, but I just don't see that line rising to the occasion. Sure, they could have some great regular seasons. When it gets to playoff war, is that line going to match up with the dogs on the Panthers and survive? I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but I don't think I am. Give me Tage Thompson. Jay Snow, we need someone on Jack's line who's tough to play against and is strong along the walls. Chico Robertson, I'd like, but Dallas would be insane to trade him. I like him a lot better than a lot of the other names being thrown around, but I'm still not super high on Robertson. I think Marchman is more likely to be moved off of Dallas. I think Brady is ready to ask for a trade to Florida. I think it eventually happens, and they're just going to torture the league. They're going to absolutely torture the league. Mark says, look at all the former Devils raising the cup last night. Well, really none of them had an impact on the series. Brady on a line with Cooch would feed families, though. What's going on, Carson? Chico on Dougie. I think it's more likely he's a midseason trade rather than his offseason. He was hurt, didn't look entirely right, and he came back. I think GMs want to see him first. Yeah, I agree. I think he was nursing something and, probably playing a little hurt. Knowles, when do you think the biggest splash will be made? July, August, or August, September? I hope sooner than later. I know they are make moves right now to make room for cap space, but the anticipation is a lot. You never know. Is it going to be a big trade? Could it be a big signing? It could be a big nothing. Because in the end, while we freed up $2.75 million, you still, to do anything substantial that's going to excite the majority of you guys, he's still going to have to move Palat's contract somehow. Because as it stands right now with roughly $14 million in cap space, let's just call it, for the argument's sake here, Luke's going to get $9 million. That only leaves $5 million to fill all the other holes. And so you aren't getting anything crazy whatsoever. Now, again, you free up Palat, you're at 11. Then you might be able to do some damage. You might be able to go on a little bit of a targeted big game hunting, should we call it. Chico, if the Panthers keep everyone together, it'll be pretty tough, but they've played a lot of hockey the last 3 years. Eventually going to run out of gas for a run or two. Maybe. Maybe not. Dire Wolf will always appreciate Hall for being a pest, not go against the Rags, but he's lost more than a step, and we need the cap space. I think that's pretty succinctly said. Tasha, can't believe Nico only has 2 years left. That scares me. Yeah, it scares me too, because I do think there is a world where he explores leaving. I hope it doesn't happen, but I don't think it's impossible. And for the people to dismiss it as like some crazy kind of worry, I think is nuts in itself. I think that's a realistic possibility. Alex Tuck, I'd love on this team. I would love Alex Tuck. Absolute beast. Big boy, big body. I think something that we desperately could use. And I would love to see it. How old is Nico? I think he's 26. Chico, Quinn Hughes almost dragged the Canucks to the playoffs this year on his own. I would love to get him early, but the Devils have all the leverage here. Just wait it out. Completely agree. Luke, what is a reasonable ask for Quinn right now, like for the Devils to give up? It would still be a lot more than people realize, I think, for the 2 years of him, just based on what I think other teams would pay for a pure rental of him for 2 years. But it would definitely be a first or two with probably a prospect, maybe Mercer, Kate, and a guy like Casey. Probably something along those lines, or Mercer and Nemitz with 2 firsts or 1 first, preferably 1 first. I mean, I think I wouldn't want to pay much more than that. Like Casey or Nemitz, which it would kill me to trade Nemitz at this point, but I don't know. Casey, I'd probably come off a little bit easier, but I'd rather just wait the 2 years if I'm being honest. I'm going to miss the Haula goal song, even though we didn't hear it much last season. Yeah, it's true. Leroy Dan, why do you think it's giving up the farm? I'm usually on your side, but like you say, guys like Nico only have a few years left on this team. Well, that's not written in stone. It's just it potentially only has a couple years left. The time is now. No, 100%. The time to win is now, but now I'm trying to figure out what is this in reference to. Oh, shit. What was I talking about? Give up the farm for what? What was I talking about? Was it for Quinn early? Probably for Quinn early. I'm trying to catch up here. Trevor said, I wouldn't mind moving Dougie in a Quinn Hughes deal. I mean, I think to make the money work, it's the most logical thing. And I think just looking at it in terms of, what we'd have to give, obviously, that would just be the beginning of it. It would have to be like Dougie plus probably. But I think it makes sense. But outside of that, I'm not so keen on moving on from Dougie like a lot of people are. Raymond, hello, Ace. What are your thoughts on picking up Bennett or Marchand? Probably too expensive for us at this point, but curious what you think. I would love either one of them. If you haven't seen the video, check it out on the channel later. I did a video kind of talking about the Cup Finals, and I kind of talk about both of them a lot. Obviously, for you guys that know me, those guys are right up my alley, my type of players. Guys I would love to have on my team any day. Dogs that do everything. I would love either one of them. The reality is I don't think the Devils will even be in on either one of them. I think they're both probably going to get pretty well paid this summer because of the great playoffs they both had. I would love both of them. I just don't see it happening. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are more desirable to them both than the Devils, and people are going to be opening up their checkbook. So I don't think it's – I would love either one. I don't see either one happening. I think very, very less than 1%. Steven says, if the Rags can get rid of Trouba and Kreider, we can get rid of Plot. You would think. One would think. But we don't have the same GM. That's Drury. We got Fitz. But it's just an example. I said that a couple minutes ago. Just as an example that GMs do find ways to move on from contracts that they want to move on from. LJ, I'd actually love if they passed on Spronglass, Bastion, Lazar, Dowling. I'd be fine keeping Dougie. Might even be a valuable trade asset at the deadline. Not that Fitz works. Robert says, I read Dougie's lips at the handshake line to Rod. He said shouldn't have left. Fish, Witch, Pesci, me, and Dougie nodded. Got to cover mouth. Roddy. Vegas is cutthroat and got them a cup. Yeah, spending LTIR money as well. Oh, we have this LTIR money. Guys are hurt. Let's spend that shit. Let's be over the cap for the playoffs. That is what winning teams do. And the Panthers just did it too. Kachuk was on IR. Top of my free agency list is a new GM. You guys are brutal. Chico, I wonder what it costs for Tage Thompson. A package probably starts with 2026 first, Nemitz, Mercer. I think it'd be more than that, Chico. First, Nemitz, Mercer. If I'm being honest, I do that deal without even thinking about it. I don't think that's nearly enough for Buffalo. I think you would have to add another first. And even then, I don't know if it's enough, to be honest. If he was kind of floated out there as an available piece, I think teams would be going crazy. But I would definitely give 2 first. I would even do the 2 first, honestly. You guys know me. I do not value first round picks at all. Look at how many Zito's traded away, and look what he's done. Trade for, especially if you're a team that should be in a win now window like the Devils are. Obviously, if you're a rebuilding team, you kind of have to build a team from the farm, drafting, going through the A. But the Devils need to be in win now. Our core is aging. There's no guarantees of anything, and you kind of got to get a little aggressive. I would do that deal, Chico, with 2 firsts. I'd give him the 26 and the 27, Nemitz and Mercer for Thompson. That's how much I like Thompson. Chico says ownership in Vancouver will never let them rebuild. They want those 2 games of playoff revenue. I think I heard that from Canucks fans too. Damien says, honestly, I get freeing up cap space. So couldn't we at least get a forward instead of a D-man? We have enough of those. In the end, it was just a throw-in. I'm not going to complain, Damien. You got to be ecstatic that we were able to just move on from the salary. Even if it was just for a 4th-round pick, I think that would have been considered a win by most of us. Jason says, Jack also needs to get bigger. He looks so tiny at that Bauer promotion. Yeah, I saw some of the pictures and videos. He did look pretty twiggy. You guys are brutal. I like that Zito and Fitz both started as GM in 2020. Fitz became in second. You guys are brutal. Damien, who realistically are you looking for the Devils to sign? I'm going to put out a video. There's a lot of different ways I could go with this. That'll be coming out. I'm going to have a ton of stuff coming out in the next couple of weeks. Robert says, hard to play against. Wayne said that got him 4 in a row. That's all I care about. Make playoffs, hopefully a run, but ice bags. Captain, hey, Ace, what do you think about pursuing JJ Peterka? Depending on the price. I know. I think I saw, there's just so much shit out there. You don't know what's real and what's not. But obviously he wants out. And I do believe there was a report that like Fitz was one of the, I don't know what the term they used. If he was one of the most aggressive or whatever, most serious about obtaining him. I'd be interested. I'd certainly be interested in Peterka. Young guy, 23, I think has point per game potential. But just as part of due diligence, I would like to know what else is out there too before pulling the trigger on that. Again, like I said, in a cap world with limited assets to move, I think you kind of got to analyze everything and say, what is the best piece we could bring in with these cap dollars? Is it Peterka? It could be. For me, it could be, but there might be better. Who else is available in trade? Who could be available in free agency? There's a lot of interesting names. Adam Hayes, not sure if you remember me. I'm the same guy with the Acura NSX profile picture, and I also love your content so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. After the Devils made their first splash, you think Jason Robertson would be a fit? Listen, I just wanted a whole rant about this, but I'll kind of summarize it again. Would Robertson be an upgrade to the Devils forward group and make the team better? Absolutely 1,000%. No question about it. You'd be crazy to say otherwise. But again, with limited cap dollars and limited pieces to offer in trades, is Jason Robertson the best? Is he the best puzzle piece to bring in for this Devils team? And I am going to say no. No, I can't say that I would kind of pick him as the guy that I'm going to use my cap space and assets to get. Just doesn't do it for me the way some other guys do. Damon, who wants Perry? Oh, on a reasonable deal. Who wouldn't take Corey Perry? Although he is the kiss of death in the finals, he'll get your team there. But at this point, I would take that. Jason said Lemieux and Stevens had a brawl when I heard about that. Michael, I'd take Perry on the Devils. Yeah, take Perry on the Devils, guaranteed trip to the finals, and then you lose. How do you feel about Claude Giroux? Depends on the money. But I'm always about guys that have been around for a while that'll bring some leadership and hopefully bring some production. I know everyone's going to be like, that's what they said about Palat. What did he have last year? I mean, 15 goals and 35 assists for 50 points. I mean, shit. He's 37, but that's not, that's no slouch. Depending on everything for me comes down to the value. What is he going to want for money? What did he get last year? Damn, his cap hit was 6.5 last year. Like, obviously, I'm not interested in anything like that. I'm curious if he tries to stay in Ottawa, if he's like, I'm out. I could see that going either way. He is Canadian, so who knows? Brendan plays Chico on a Brat Hughes Marner line. Who is the shot? 3 undersized playmakers. Yeah, it would scare me a little bit. LJ, definitely no to Marner, but mainly the money. Tosh, I'd like Natchez. Hate him, but I'd like him on our team, but don't think Keefe would, though. He's a guy I would pass on, too. Chico, the hypothetical you asked, honestly, it's a tough one. I do like Bennett as a player, and I think he'd be great with Jack. I still think I'd go Marner on that one, but it's close. That's on the would you rather have Marner or Bennett and Marchand? I would like Tuck. I really would, Mia. I would like Tuck on Jack's line for sure. Big body. Use the weight, get to the net. If Marchand was a couple years younger. Yeah, but I'm in the win now window, Chico. I think you get 2 to 3 good years out of Marchand. Robert says grit wins. GM Russian depth wins. Vic, thanks. Smash the like. Appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. Of course, JJ Peterka linked to the Rangers. Oh, man. I would hate the Rangers to get anybody. And the speculation was already starting last night of could Connor McDavid end up on the Rangers? And that would make me violently ill. Damien says everyone wants Peterka, him and Tuck. Yeah, Buffalo's a disaster. I mean, wow. I feel bad for their fans. Like, who wants to stay there? I mean, they have some good young pieces, but when will they turn the corner? Who the hell knows? It could be a while. But maybe not. Everyone wants to jump off the ship. It is crazy. Michael S., I still want Taves. I 1,000% want Taves. Assuming he signs for the little money that I think he will. I put out a video about that. If you guys haven't seen the Taves video, put that out. I go in depth as to why I think it's a very smart move. Jason, no, I want Tuck. He's a big dude and can score. Fitz needs to pick up the phone. I think Tuck, for me, would be one of the more ideal ones. Of all the names I've seen thrown out there, Tuck is pretty high on my list. I forget if he was number 1 or if there was a couple other guys in terms of like somewhat realistic. But, you know, to no one's surprise, the big body Tuck, I think he's 6'4". Yeah, 6'4", 219. Come on down. Move Brat to left wing. He's left-handed. Then have Brat Hughes Tuck. I mean, getting Tuck would be wow. Jason, no, heard today Taves is going to Colorado or Winnipeg. Doesn't surprise me. Winnipeg's his hometown. Makes sense. I would like to see Tuck in a Devils jersey. 8x8 for Bennett. 3 times 2 for Marchand. You're crazy. I think Bennett gets more. Well, I guess, are you talking about in Florida? Oh, yeah. I could see Bennett signing for 8x8 in Florida, not any cheaper than that, and maybe even a little more. I don't see Marchand signing for 3. That would be leaving a lot of money on the table. I think tons of teams would offer him for 2 years, 5 or 6 probably, at least 5. $5 million for him is a bargain with this new cap world for 2 years. Tosh says Rempe for 3 more years. Yeah, he signed today. I think $1 million a year, right? I saw that deal. Trevor on the Let's Go Devils channel, they were talking about offer sheeting Cooley on the Rangers. I think that'd be awesome. Either we get him or put them in a bad spot. I'm not interested. Not interested. And I don't even know at his contract level what the compensation would be. Alexander, what's up? I trust you are well and making good choices. Any chance we keep both Nemo and Casey? So to kind of piggyback on what I was talking about earlier, with all the trade speculation and all the things people have been talking about, free agency and all that, in reality, we have, I would say, 4 major pieces, I think, that have the most value in a potential trade. In no particular order, those pieces are, in my opinion, Dawson Mercer, Shimo Nemitz, Seamus Casey, and the 2026 first-round pick. Now, with those four, I don't think there's any world where they would trade both Nemitz and Casey in the offseason. So I think you're kind of potentially looking at trading one of them and keeping the other. But a young, should-be stud defenseman, a first-round pick, and a guy like Mercer that might be able to put it together and elevate his game in new circumstances on a new team. I think you could possibly kind of use those pieces to bring in a piece or two that would better suit the team. I can't say that I think we definitely trade one of them this offseason, but long-term, I just don't see where both Nemitz and Casey are here. I could be wrong, but the blue line seems very crowded, and I think those guys both would have a good value in a potential trade. And so if you're really trying to improve the team, it seems like one of them would be traded to get some forward help. Tasha, I don't care about first-round picks either, only because Fitz is so ass at drafting. 100% that he is, but even if you look at other teams, like if it's not a super high pick in the first round, it's kind of a crapshoot. If you look at teams that win, Zito traded tons of first-round picks to get known players. I think Brisebois, the GM of the Lightning, traded like every first-round pick for the next. They might not have one until like 2032 or something. I don't know, 2030. They've traded a ton of first-round picks. Trying to win now. I'm super behind, guys. My apologies. I'm blabbering. I'm trying to catch up. Chico, 2 to 3 years out of Marchand, maybe, but we've seen older players fall off very fast. But at what point are people not like, you probably would have said that at the trade deadline as a reason not to get him. And the guy went out and had 20 points and probably got Conn Smythe votes. So at some point, like, you can't always look for excuses not to do something, because if that's the case, you could come up with excuses not to do anything. What if this guy becomes this? And what if we sign this guy and he ages horribly? Like, there's all these what ifs that people conjure up as justification to not make a move. And this is kind of what I was talking about with Bill Zito earlier. At some point, you got to let your balls drag. You have to make a move that is not like a no-brainer, like that you kind of feel some sort of way when you're doing it, and you're like, this is a tough one. Trading, even that haulatrade, that's a no-brainer, right? When you need cap space, you got a fourth rounder and a throw-in defenseman, cool. Anyone could do that trade. That doesn't take any conviction. That doesn't take anything. That's a nothing trade that anyone could do. I'm talking about making those hard decisions where it's like, I'm kind of putting my ass on the line here. Is this going to work or not? And again, Marchand, I'm not worried about it. 2 to 3 years, that's the window to win. Win now. Nico's got here for 2 more years. Markey's here for 1. I do think we give him at least 1 more year. So you have Markey, a win now goalie in the twilight of his career, and you got to try to win now. I'll take that chance on a guy like Marchand. Yo, Holmes, what's going on? Hi, he's just got home. I'm hammered. What happened? We shipped off Erik Haula to Nashville. I think Marchand goes with 1-year deals until he retires. I don't. For what reason though? He has young kids too. I don't think he's trying to just jump around. I think again, Florida. If those guys are smart, and again, I've talked about this in last summer with Stammer and Marsh. So like, I judge guys who are super rich that still go for the most money. And Stammer made a shitload of money prior to signing this last deal. He felt like he got played by the Lightning. He left. He goes to a income tax-free state in Tennessee, the Nashville Predators, and signs for max dollar. I judged him a little bit because I fully expected him to go to more of a cup favorite type team to try to get another one, but he chased the bag. And so maybe Marchand does the same. Again, another guy that's made a ton of money, but I guess it's easy for us scrubs to say, right, to leave millions on the table. But he fit like a glove in Florida. They're built to compete for a while. The weather is great. No state income tax. I do think it makes perfect sense for him to want to be there. We'll see how it all plays out. I'd be curious if Boston tries to get him back if he would have any interest, if the Bruins would. Very interesting scenario. Hold on one second. Tasha Ace ranked the refs from worst to best. Well, Rooney's clearly the worst of all time. I don't know that I have a best. I guess of all time, my favorite would probably be Kerry Fraser. That he sticks out. Kaharski was just a memorable one, obviously, for so many reasons. Me, good morning. Been longing these early live streams. Okay. Robert, love this podcast. I'm hooked, people. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. We usually have a pretty good crowd here. We're growing the community a little bit. We have a lot of good fans in here. We have a lot of very pessimistic fans, but we're all Devils fans, right? There's not a ton of us out there. Michael S., trade our first-round picks. We already have enough defensive prospects. I am trading every first-round pick for the foreseeable future. Win now. Known commodities. Give me soldiers that we could drag into battle and win now. That is it. Win now. We have Markey probably for 2 more years. Nico, again, hopefully he retires a Devil, but he has 2 more years left on his deal. We don't know what the future of Jack Hughes holds in terms of injuries and things. Like, I'm not trying to jinx him, but it is what it is. Timo, Bradder, Nico, all continuing to age. You got to try to win now. Jay Snow, Bennett got 11 votes. Marchie got 8. Okay, I meant to look that up. Yeah, pretty close. Chico, I mean, it's very different to have gotten him at the trade deadline going into unrestricted free agency versus giving him a 3-year deal at 37. My point is there's no guarantee he'll be good even in year 1 anymore. There's no guarantees of anything. That is my point. The guy just came off a beautiful run in the playoffs, and you're still doubting him. This is what I'm saying. There's always a reason to find worst case scenario. I mean, listen, assuming he wanted to come to the Devils and the number was normal, Marchand is very high on my list. I think he has no interest, and I don't even think we're going to reach out. So it's all just kind of nonsensical banter here. But let's just say Marchand wanted, $4 million times 2 years from the Devils. I cut that check without thinking about it and hope that it works out. But that's a risk you have to take. Yeah, again, PTSD. The Devils can't afford another plot. So let's never sign anybody. Never sign anybody and only sign young kids because everyone's going to be polite. I mean, this is crazy. It's just crazy. Jess is 8 mil times 3 years from Marchie. I don't think he'll leave Florida, but I could dream. I don't think I would be able to. That's definitely rich for my blood. But that'd be crazy if someone paid him that. Garrett says, playoff stats mean more to me than age. Sign Marchand up. Completely agree. It's like, if you told me he was 57, I don't give a shit. I just seen him score 20 points, win two game-winning goals in the Cup Finals. Just a beast. Oh, boy, we have another scrap in the comments. Robert, bring back the A-line. Would love to see it. What a legendary group. John Fay, I think it'll be interesting to see where Marchand ends up. If I had to bet, I would say he stays in Florida. Marchand has never made more than 6 in a season. He's always taking discounts, to be fair. So maybe he continues that. But maybe he goes for the money. Yo, Holmes Ace, what do you think about the new scrub Swiss guy NJ just signed? Oh, Juho Lamico. It's a nothing move to me. I don't know. I believe that was like some sort of analytics find where they drooled over this guy and they convinced the world that he was, he's this diamond in the rough and they found some steel. I don't think they would have paid him that money if they didn't believe he was going to be on the team. I believe there's a very good chance he's in our bottom 6 to start the season. I think it's underwhelming. I'm going to wait to judge it. I got into it a little bit on X with a couple people about this. By the way, I think I've talked about this before. I absolutely can't stand X. It is just, it's just such a cesspool. Just so many condescending, self-righteous people that think everything they say is gospel. I might have to stay off of there for my blood pressure because those people make my blood boil. But to me, it's a nothing move. I don't understand what the point of it was, if I'm being honest. Marchand is looking for 4 years at $8 million. Oh my God. If someone pays him that, then you're asking to be suckered. Blackatron, you're getting a little sun. It's the summertime, guys. I'm outside. It's the summertime doing summertime things. A little bit. Yeah. John Fay, Rooney is the worst. They ain't even close to any of the other refs. How bad Rooney is. Horrible. Horrible. Robert, our cup winners had a perfect mix of skill, toughness. McKay, holy crash line. The crashers are behind me. It's hard to see, but that right there is you can see Mikey P on the left, Randy in the middle, and then Bobby's kind of covered by my microphone thing here. But wow, what a line. Absolutely love the crashers. Palau was coming off a great playoff run. We signed him and immediately started falling off. Once a player hits that mid-30s, the fall is coming fast or slow. It's coming. Great. But he also got $6 million a year for however many years we signed him. Was it 6 years? It was something insane. I am not going to let a bad contract given to Palat scar me from ever signing a veteran ever again. I mean, everyone has the PTSD from Palat. It's crazy. So what do you want to sign? 22-year-olds? Well, what do we want to do here? It's not wishing on a scar. The guy just did it. He literally just did it. I'm going to bet my money that he doesn't fall off a cliff in the 4 months from now till October. How does that sound? People saying this about Marchand, didn't watch every single game this playoffs. 20 points in the playoffs is worth $8 million per year with the cap increase. To some teams, maybe, but that is a lot for a guy his age. I'm not saying it's pretty high. I mean, wow. I can't see it. I could see 5 or 6. I mean, wow. We're going to see. Apparently, this new guy was a decent fan favorite on the Canucks. What does that mean for me, though? He hasn't played in the league in 3 years. I can't get excited about this. This is a total reach. It's a total reach. Mark, what are the odds that Fitz is fine with Cody Glass as our third C? I wouldn't. I mean, 4C I could probably live with. Yeah, 3C. I mean, at the right number, Fitz would probably be thrilled with it, if I'm being real. If Cody Glass was like, give me 1.1, I think Fitz would do that. I'm fine for moving on from Glass. I don't want Glass as our 3C. I don't think anyone does. Tasha, the crash out is funny, but Marchand is consistent and Plot was never that great on his own. So, yeah, I mean, Chico, I'm not saying never sign a vet again, but I'm also not giving a 37-year-old crazy money. But we're not talking about crazy money, and it wouldn't be crazy term either. Again, you got to be in it to win it. Someone's going to pay him. I would make a run at him. Robert, like I said, successful GMs have sack. Completely agree. Zito just has balls on balls. I don't care what a player did yesterday on a different team. What matters is what he'll do tomorrow on the Devils, and the likelihood is the fall off starts. This is just nonsense. Complete nonsense, Chico. That's like saying he's closer to death. Yeah, every day we all get older and we get closer to death. But what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? You, at some point, have to put not maybe all your chips, but a lot of the chips got to go in. And saying you're skittish to sign a guy like Marchand, to me, is insanity at a reasonable number. Alex, not saying we should give him $8 million, but I sure as hell think someone offers it. That'd be wild. Chico, if they got Marchand on a year at like $4 million, then we're talking. Anything more than that, I'm looking elsewhere. I pay him 5 easy. I give him 2 by 5. You're nuts. You don't give him 2 by 5, Chico? I would do that in a heartbeat. Fitz got greedy with Plot. Enough said. Donato got 4 at $4 million from the Hawks. I think I heard about that. Mark says, Ace, I guess Sam Bennett is not going to be in Fitz's future. Unfortunately, not. I would love Bennett. I would have to know what the number would be. It's going to be interesting, but we're going to see. It could be that $10 million. I mean, that's a rumor out there, but I think he stays in Florida and signs at like 8.5. Yeah, father time comes from everyone, but you can't live in paranoia and a state of doing nothing because you're afraid that the contract's going to be terrible like Palat's was. I've never seen – I actually think Andre Palat, that contract has given the fan base or a large portion of the fan base the craziest PTSD I have ever seen in my life. The way some of you act, I understand it. The contract aged horrifically. Great. You're not going to win them all. $6 million, vast overpayment. it is what it is. But for people to reference that for any potential free agent, to like, oh, Palat, it's another Palat. They said that you guys are talking about this with Bennett a week ago. Palat, everybody's Palat. You don't have that. Whoever was talking about Toffoli, you don't have that with Toffoli. Oh, he's old. He's going to fall off a cliff. Don't get anyone over 28 because death is coming. I mean, it's crazy. You gotta get some vets, and at some point you're gonna have to run the risk of a contract maybe not aging gracefully, and it is what it is. That happens with some people's wives. It was all good in the mid-20s. Maybe by the mid-40s it's a different story. That is the risk you take. Always check the genetics. Always got to see what the mother looks like, so you can kind of project further out. But, not all contracts are going to age great. John, Toffoli forechecks better than his size, scores even strength and shorthanded, beats goalies with the shot from outside circle and screened everything the Devils can't do except for Bratt and Jack. I just don't think Toffoli's the right piece for this team now. He's just very slow. Not that I need everyone to be a speed demon, but Toffoli sometimes skates like he has a piano on his back. And I like Toffoli. I'm a Toffoli guy. I'm not saying get no one. I'm saying there's better targets. Oh, it depends who you're talking about. But I do think Marchand would be a great fit for probably most teams, honestly. Jeff, look at what he did. Look at what he did at 37. He's not going to drop off a cliff. It's not a concern of mine. Yeah, you said you want to sign Toffoli and then follow it up with saying you never. I just said this. Well, why isn't Toffoli going to die? That's what I want to know. Oh, okay. So Chico talks smack, but he comes 2x5 for Marchand, a little rich, but on that one, yeah, I would take the risk. Okay, so we're on the same page. I'm not saying to throw $10 million a year at him for 4 years, but something like 2x5, I take Marchand. Now, again, this is all pipe dream hypothetical. I wanted to kind of put you on the spot here because he very well could get more than that, and he probably doesn't want to come here anyway. But I was curious to see what you would say. Ace, you're killing me, brother. Every day we're closer to death. It's true, including all the players, right? Louis, most unrestricted free agents in their late 20s sign with the expectation the contract will be bad in the latter years. That is how it goes. You are trying to win before that happens. And for any contract, let's make it clear. For any contract, win a single cup and nothing else matters. Nothing. It doesn't matter if the contract is the worst contract ever in the later years. You win a single cup. You do what these esteemed gentlemen behind me, Marty in 03, Arnott in 2000, the Crashers in 95, my man Claude Lemieux in 95, the great Scott Stevens. You win a single damn cup and none of it matters. None of it. Win now, make win now moves. That's it. Win one cup. Nothing matters. John, 2x5 for Marchand seems reasonable, but in the end, isn't it how much the player wants? And of course, this is just a hypothetical. This was just a hypothetical to mess with Chico. Richard kicks it up a notch. I'd give him 3x5. I probably would too. He's not going to take a 2-year deal. I'll take the chance and damn it, go for it and stop the nonsense. He's a winner. I think someone's going to pay him more than 5, but Richard, I'm with you. I give him the 3rd year too. Richard. Give me Marshy, but it's not going to happen. Lauren, Marchand is great. Bennett is great. You guys are dissing on them because of their age as well. This is what people do, guys. This is the new wave. Everything's going to age like Palat's contract, and everyone has PTSD. Never sign another guy again. Garrett says, lots of married men. Exactly. It's the game, Garrett. Oh, Nicole, what's up? What is going on? I hop on an Aces talking about mortality and mothers. It's a whole long. I kind of got off in the weeds for a minute, but a lot of these people don't want to sign crafty veterans, Nicole, because they're scared that at 37 years old, they're going to shrivel up and die. Knowles, Toffoli would have been a great addition last season already. His days are done or gone. He was great. I agree. Nick Visser, been a Devils fan since the 80s. There are good days and bad days. It's crazy to move a good player like Casey to a 3rd or 4th line role. He can play with speed and score. You know about Seamus Casey? He's a defenseman. Tasha, Chico clearly didn't watch the playoffs. Marchand was insane. He had such a drive to win. Oh, but he's 37. He's 37, Tasha. We can't be paying him. Woodson, what up? The fact that Fitz dumped Hall without retention got a pick. Big win, thank the Lord. Completely agree. some people were complaining that we got a defenseman. I'm like, listen, the fact that we just were able to free up some money, hallelujah. I'm with you, Woodson. Mark, Marchand is a decent risk. He plays in the dirt and can score. Very much a Claude Lemieux type we desperately need. Could not agree more. Would prefer Bennett, but I think that's totally pipe dreams. And I think Marchand is as well. Chico, again, what happened yesterday does not matter when it comes to tomorrow. We've seen older players have that one last run and then the fall off starts. This is just the most nonsensical justification to not make a move. You have no guarantee of tomorrow with young kids. Jack Hughes' shoulder could fall off. We don't know. But you take these chances. Same thing. Anybody could have a career-ending injury. We could go get Robertson and he has a career-ending injury. Then, why did we trade for Robertson? He had a career-ending injury. Some of you guys are so negative. John Fay, I would like Marchand or Bennett, but in the end, it comes down to how many years they want to play for, and Ace is having a very valid crash out right now. It's just painful. Everything comes back to Palat. We're going to be talking about this shit in 10 years when there's a good veteran available, and people are going to be like, oh my God, we can't sign him. It's going to end up like the Palat contract. Like, how long do I have to listen to this for? Nicole, of course, we take Marchand, but we won't get him. Completely agree. Robert's really Arnie. I've been dying for a massive, big, hulking center like Arnott or Bobby Holik for years. They just seem to be so few and far between in today's league. You have to offer money to get him out of Florida. That's why my proposal is $8 million times 3. Oh, Jeff, there's no way I'm paying him $8 million. At that point, I would just add whatever the difference is and go after Bennett. Woodson, we won't win a single playoff series with the Hughes brothers. Ace, just admit it. I can't admit that. I think we can. I mean, we've won one, but we need to bring in the dogs. And Bennett and Marchand are both dogs. I don't think we have a chance to get either one. But give me Alex Tuck. I think that's a start. Yeah, who cares about age? Yager's out there. Did any of you guys see the video of Yager training, shooting tires? And he wasn't just like shooting. He was like shelving them, like ripping them top corner with tires. What a legend. Casey has been told to switch to forward to crack the lineup. Where did you see that nonsense? That did not happen. Chico says, I'm not saying don't make a move. I'm saying don't make this move. But again, your logic is flawed because anyone of a certain age, you're just going to use that same recycled thing over and over again. Richard, pure hypothetical, never going to happen. But if a so-called aging Crosby fell into our lap for $6 million a year, you wouldn't take the fear of fall off. Go for the damn cup and stop being ass of Jackness. Sid's such a beast. Sid is a beast. Tasha, I bet Chico wanted to make a play for Stammer last summer. See how that turned out. Well, you also don't know. How his season could have played out in a different destination, including New Jersey. You just can't say. But I was interested at Stammer at a much lower number. I thought he was going to give a discount to go to a team that he thought could win the cup. But turns out, no, he didn't. Chico, we've argued about Bennett before, specifically his price. I would give Bennett $11 million before I give Marchand more than $4 million. Super interesting. Nicole, if we're talking about dreams that'll never happen, I would love the Kachuk brothers. They're national treasures. Absolutely. I might have to get a Kachuk USA Olympic jersey. Chico, I wanted Stammer on a cheap deal, and I was laughing when Nashville signed him, but that's a great example of what I mean. Yeah, give him $8 million. That was a bad deal. But I can't call Marchand, even at 3 years at $5 million, the same thing as him at $8 million. And again, the $5 million for Marchand in this hypothetical is in the new cap environment as well. Woodson says Tuck would be a dream come true. Would love Tuck. He would be high on my want list. Completely, very high on my want list. Eric, Brady Kachuk more than ever wants out of Ottawa. He can change the entire locker room. Did you see him looking at the cup? I think he's going to go to Florida. But you guys, I'm not talking. The dream died for me for Brady, but he would be one of my highest wants league-wide if he ever should become available. I just don't see it happening. Stammer not happy in Smashville. I mean, they sucked. Why would he be? Woodson, damn it, Tuck will cost us a young right-handed D-man, Casey or Nemitz, but Casey would be worth giving up. You don't think you'd have to add more than that, Woodson? They're not going to do that straight up. Tasha, but for any vet, their contracts will age like Palat, so a crazy thought to go for Stammer. Well, in that scenario, you could probably, you'd have to compensate them, but you might be able to get them to retain some. I'd be interested with Stammer with retention. Chico, I want Martian on a cheap deal, but I don't think there's any chance he signs for less than $6 million. I think the Leafs hand him a blank check. Oof. I would judge him so hard for that. I hate when guys do this, but I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised. Woodson, Luke in a bridge deal at $4 or $5 million is smart if you want to have enough money to spread around to win now. Would Luke sign a bridge deal at that number? And then you already know what Woodson. You're just saying that because you want him to be gone afterwards. Because you do know if we did the bridge deal, he wouldn't be gone. It would just hamstring the rest of the team. If we did sign him for a bridge deal at somehow, if you got him to sign that, what is his contract after the bridge deal at that point with the cap up even more? $12 million. I mean, it'd be something ludicrous. $12 million a year. I mean, I don't know. I think bridging Luke would be a monumental mistake. Robert says, stop smiling, saying negative shit, Ace. Fitz needs to learn his lesson with these long no trade contracts. No, absolutely. You can't hand out the no trades to everybody, and you get a no trade, and you get a no move, and you get a no trade. You can't just sling them on everybody. You definitely got to be very selective with those moving forward because you do find yourself kind of handcuffed like they are now on a lot of these guys. Jason says Fitz rushed to sign Covey. I'm a Kovacevic guy. Woodson, Casey's a starter for Tuck. Add a first rounder and another player. Yeah, I'm with you. Woodson, I do that easily. I do that super easily, and I think he'd be. I was talking about earlier that all the names people were throwing out of all these different players around the league, they all would improve the forwards and make the team better to some extent. But in the reality, with limited cap space, with limited assets to use in trades, whether it's players, picks, I'm looking for the right piece. It needs to be the ideal right piece, not just an improvement. Because again, the bar is low right now for the forward group. The bar is pretty low. There's tons of guys that would signify an improvement over somebody on the current, or call it the last game playoff lineup, right? So I'm looking for as perfect of a piece for the Devils puzzle as possible. And I do think Tuck is high on the list in that department for me, Woodson. John Fay, to be fair, I could see us getting Tuck over Marchand and Bennett, but that's my opinion. Well, I think Marchand and Bennett would literally not sign here no matter what, unless we vastly overpaid whatever the next highest bidder was offering. And so I don't know how likely Tuck is. I'm going to say it's not that likely. I think it's much more likely than Marchand or Bennett. Mark, come on, Ace, come on. If we got Marchand 8 times 3, it'd be mostly okay with this. No, that I have to draw the line somewhere again because I want to get the best piece possible at $8 million. At that point, why wouldn't you try to get somebody else? I don't think Marchand at 8 would be the best usage of that. Now, maybe 6 I could live with, but $8 million is excessive. There's other guys out there that you could spend that money on. Zachary, Ryan Donato re-signed with Chicago 4 years, $16 million. Was hoping Devils would make a play for him in free agency. I was hoping the Devils were going to make a play for him at the trade deadline. Chico, Leafs want a culture shakeup. Can't shake up much more than Marner leaving and Marchand coming in. That's quite a swap, right? That's definitely a shakeup for sure. Definitely a shakeup there. Man, imagine if they went and got Bennett and Marchand. Oh my God. That first Leafs Panthers game would be crazy. I feel like Marchand would grab Matthews by the scruff of his neck and teach him how to actually lead an NHL team. Is there any value in that, Chico? Because for a 37-year-old guy who's inching closer to death by the day, aside from the production, and I know you're scared, I know that you got that Palat-induced PTSD, that this man is just going to fall off a cliff and be the worst contract in NHL history. Is there not a value to the cultural change that a guy like him can bring to a locker room? Is there not a value to that? Jason, no, Matthew Nyes is going to get paid. He's a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if someone offer sheeted. He's definitely a guy I could see getting an offer sheeted. And depending on where it fell, I've seen projections all over the place for him. But if he doesn't cross, I forget, maybe it's like the 7.1 million or whatever it is threshold, the compensation you would have to give up is pretty fair. And so I could definitely see teams throwing him an offer sheet. And what are the odds we actually make a trade to get Peterka? I have zero faith Fitz gets it done. I don't know. There's a lot of things out there. I think Fitz is talking to a lot of people right now. What he actually tries to do or pulls the trigger on, I don't know, but I think he's working the phones and at least kicking some tires. All the names in play, honestly, think the Devils' big move is going to come out of left field like someone we don't expect at all. I'm also, if I'm being honest, I'm not expecting a huge or a big move. I mean, I guess what is your definition of big move? Zachary, trade Dougie for picks and use his cap space to offer Sam Bennett. Does that sound reasonable? I would do that in a heartbeat. I don't think he's going to have any interest in coming here. I think he likes it in Florida, and with no state income tax, he could make more there getting paid slightly less by them than the Devils. I just don't see it. I think it's either that or Toronto for Bennett. Who is your realistic Haula replacement? I guess it remains to be seen. I would like to find somebody in free agency or via trade, but my biggest want across all categories is that big rugged winger for Jack. Would love it to be Tuck. And that's where I think most of the resources kind of have to be allocated to. Cody Glass, I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't hate it if there was other moves on the roster that kind of let me be okay with that. I don't know if I explained that well. Like, if we were doing meaningful things and however it shook out, Glass ended up at 3C, but we got like a few other guys that I thought were more impact players. I would be more likely to live with it. Did I hear a rumor Mason McTavish was going to be moved? I thought I read that somewhere. Stephen Ace, you're doing a live chat for the draft. I may. Woodson, no way anyone wants Dougie without retention. I'm not going to say definitively. I mean, you might have to retain a little bit, but I could see a world where you don't have to. I mean, shit, Drury got rid of Trouba, man. Come on. Meadowlander, if we are stuck with this Euro core, Fitz needs to play Moneyball and find undervalued dogs, not high-priced guys in their twilight years. I would take a chance on Marchand. For sure. Saw something on Twitter that Fitz is the most active GM to get Peterka. I think that's probably the same thing I saw. But, like, what does that even mean? Zachary, my guess is Marner is going to the Ducks. That'd be interesting. I saw something like that. I think a couple of people had him projected to go there. Max, I honestly think a guy like Lawson Krause would be a great pickup. Huge body and has potted 20-plus goals in 3 of the last 4 seasons. Is he? He's not a free agent, is he? No, you'd have to trade from. What's his cap hit? 4.3. Yeah, 6'4", 216. It's on the Mammoth. Mason Keith, how does Fitz reshape that bottom 6? Well, I'm hoping to get some dogs everywhere, but we're going to see. Mark, there's some decent unrestricted free agents even further down the list, but I think Fitz wants to continue his streak of underwhelming and enraging the fans. Oh, boy. Your home says, Mason, he can't. Fitz doesn't even know what secondary scoring is. I can't believe he said that. What exactly is it? I've asked my team. What exactly is secondary scoring? What exactly is it? What exactly is secondary scoring? I asked a lot of people in the organization. What is secondary scoring? Robert says Marshy's a winner. Bring it. Completely agree. Drury also got rid of Kreider. Yeah, I talked about that. He finds a way. Trouba, Kreider, dumped him off. No retention. No retention. Knowles, instead of a live draft at home, let's get a group at a local bar and stuff. Maybe just an idea. I'm not opposed to that, but I think a lot of these folks don't even live anywhere in New Jersey. I mean, I'm sure there's people in here in New Jersey, but we got people in other countries, other states. Trevor, I can see the Rangers moving more players out to make room for Marner. Or are they loading up? Are they clearing out the cap space to make a run at Connor McDavid? I could see Marner going there too, though. That would be like such a Rangers move. Mark, Fitz being active is him telling us he came in second on all trade deals. Richard, Ace, what do you think about going after Pius Suter? I think he's making 1.5 to 1.8. He might be a nice pickup for 2.8 or 3 a year if we have the jing. A lot of people have been talking about him too. I mean, listen, there's so many guys that would be an improvement, and he is unrestricted. 5'11", 174. Okay, I could live with that. It's an interesting one. What's going on, Robert? Keep the faith in home devs for life. Ted, Tom Fitzgerald played for the Panthers during the Panthers' first 5 seasons. I don't think these finals are lost on Fitz. We'll see about that. Mark Krause is a solid player for the third line. I remember he's under consideration on draft day, but we took Zaka. I asked him. Oh, shit. I saw that Plot is possibly going to the Kraken. What do you think a possible return be? Not much. Not much at all. You guys are brutal. Keith looked ready to bash his head on the table when Fitz had his whole what is depth scoring monologue. Mark, Fitz will land something like Anthony Mantha and Cody Ceci. Chico, Panthers went off of death. No one took an insane piece of the pie, and they're like 4 lines deep. Their third line is better than a lot of teams' second line. They are a squad. Squad. Chico, McDavid is further proof that even for the best player in the world, you can't take every penny you can get and also win. I mean, did he do that though? How about Sarah Nurse? Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, guys. I got to go to the bathroom real quick and we'll start winding it down. It was nice to reconnect with a bunch of you. I will be doing definitely more videos in the next couple weeks leading up to draft, free agency, trade rumors, all the BS. I'm gonna have a bunch of videos coming out on some kind of league issues. I'll be doing more lives more frequently. I'll be right back though. I gotta go to the bathroom and throw out whatever you got here to close it down, and we'll start wrapping up. I'm a little rusty with the technology and it's been a minute. When was the last time I did a live? I felt like it was a while ago. It was like a few weeks ago. Where's the date on this thing? I hate all this technology. May 29th. Yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago. All right, I'll be right back. Going to the bathroom, throw out final comments, thoughts, questions, suggestions. Always listening. Throw it out there. Be right back. And I'll be right back. Then we'll wrap this thing up. Is it October yet, guys? I just want the season to start. McCann would be nice. I wanted him last year too, but supposedly, the prices were high. Sarah Nurse would probably score more than Haula did. I don't think so. Chico, tell me you think Sarah Nurse could actually play in the NHL. Tell me. I could see you believing that. Michael, is Henrique available yet? They ain't winning up there. Just send him back here, please. Poor Adam Henrique. 0-3 in Cup Finals. The poor guy. 2012 with the Devils. Couldn't get it done. And now the past 2 years with the Oilers falling at the hands of a juggernaut dynasty. The Panthers, man. Mark, congrats to Vitek Vanacek, by the way, I guess. I mean, yeah, he was a warm in the bench, but his name's on the cup, and he's going to have that bling-bling. Fitz to trade Big Mac. I wish he played a little bit more, but always be a franchise legend in my mind. Taking out Rempe and showing the first galvanizing the troops in that beautiful 5-on-5 brawl. That was legendary stuff. That's a moment in Devils history that I'll never forget. Chris, the Rangers fan, was here with me. Crazy. You know I wash my hands, Chico. Don't be crazy. Michael, good night, my man. Hit the like. Thanks. Anson Meadows, draft stream would be great. Yeah, I'll probably do one. Cerberus, Henrique is washed. It hurts to say as he was terrible in the playoffs. Yeah, I think he's done. A couple years ago, 3 years ago, I think it would have been worthwhile exploring, but I think it's over. Going to be an interesting summer. I agree. Lots of potential. Yo, Holmes, Nosek taking all the serious faceoffs to the Stanley Cup champs while NJ is putting Dowling out there. I think I saw also something online the other day that Dowling's agent said he didn't expect him to return to New Jersey. Big Ben, I've honestly been praying for Hall to get traded since the signing event. That prick left the event 15 minutes before the lines even closed off and walked out with a smug look on his face. See ya. Ooh, what event was that? Was that the season ticket holder event? Metalander Ace, have you heard of a 1995 team signing anywhere? There was one that some company tried to put together months ago, and it fell apart, and I think it was predictable. I don't want to really, you could probably look it up. A lot of people were talking trash about it. All right, Chico, you have some common sense. In all seriousness, not at all. The women's game is awesome. I love it, but it's an entirely different beast. Yeah, totally. Love Rico, Uncle Rico. Tasha, wish the NY Sirens or the NJ Sirens would draw more crowds. I don't know if it would. I mean, the reality is, I hate to be this person, but historically, outside of the WNBA in the past couple of years, largely because of Caitlin Clark, and I think the ratings are down again. I don't know. I saw something about it, but women's sports just doesn't garner the same interest as men's. I mean, it is what it is. John, I miss Devils hockey. I hate having no hockey. I agree. Yo, Holmes says, Tasha, I miss the Riveters. So they were a couple years ago, right? Anson, thanks to the stream-based like and sub, ladies and gents. My man Trey, what's up? What's up, Trey? I'm gonna hit you up later tonight. I'm gonna have another live probably in the next couple days, or maybe I'll push to next week. I'm not sure, but my man Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils will be coming on probably with a couple other guests, and we're gonna just talk about the Devils like we're doing right now, just talking about the Devils. Check out Trey's video. He dropped an anti-hatred on Dougie video. I think it was today. And I'm with you, Trey. I've defended Dougie forever. I do think at some point they'll have to trade him, but I don't think that time is now. And I've defended him pretty much for a while now. I think everyone will miss him when he's gone. Big Ben, yeah, he left the season ticket event 15 minutes and walked out with his. You guys are terrible. His chest puffed out with Nason Tatar at 7:43. The lines didn't even cut off till 8. Cotter and Nemo stayed till 8:30. In fairness, you never know what they have going on in their lives, though. But I mean, that is kind of shitty at a season ticket holder thing. Chico, I think a woman could play in the NHL if you take out hitting, and she plays with boys growing up. Not going to say how good potentially, but I think a woman. You're talking about a league that doesn't exist, Chico. Now this is ridiculous. If you took out the hitting, all right. Richard, Brent Burns, I'd take that mountain man for a year. Michael, I still feel like Timo is another level he can get to with us. He could be that high skill, bigger body we need. He just needs to unlock that mode. He needs to play like the March of Meyer, the March forward Timo Meyer all season long. Robert going to level with games on NHL Network this summer. SST need to sign McLeod back when he's quitted this summer. You know that is never happening. Tasha, Timo could hit another level if he plays on the right wing the whole season. I agree, as well as on power play 1. It's not rocket science. Use him how he was used in San Jose. Yo, Holmes, Dougie, post-pec injury is a different guy. If Fitz can move him, you move him. But then again, it's Boo's face. So. All right. Anybody have anything else? You guys are hilarious. Maybe this is just the start for Fitz, guys. Is Palat on deck? Is he entertaining something with Dougie? Is there something with Mercer at works? On the next episode of Devils Offseason Maneuvers, Tom Fitzgerald looking desperately to free up cap space to fix the roster he iced last season that's severely underachieved. Big Ben, I don't care what they have going on in their lives. I spent $2,500 to be there. All they had to do was stay for 2 hours. Most of them showed up 20 minutes late. I'm just on Nashville. I mean, in fairness, you bought season tickets, I believe, is what you're saying. You technically didn't spend that money on that event. I understand what you're saying, but that is a little misleading the way you typed it up. Quinn incoming. I think that's only a matter of time, Yo Holmes, for sure. Tasha, maybe Fitz will open NHL TV and learn what depth scoring is. LJ, listen, Fitz is good at the offseason. Fingers crossed. Here's hoping. I mean, it's true. I've said last summer, especially, he had a great offseason, but the in-season nothingness with the hands in the pockets is where I have issue. But hopefully we see a meaningful offseason now, and we see meaningful moves made in season next year, whether that's earlier than the deadline, at the deadline. I am not too picky, but you must tweak the team in season if you have any chance of winning, and look no further than the defending champs. The defending champs got better. They were like, we won the cup last year, but you know what? Let's get Seth Jones. Let's get Brad Marchand, the Rat King. Bettman hinted that the trial boys can be back in the NHL if acquitted. Well, where was that, SST? I totally missed that. Any thoughts on the fact that the first thing Fitz did was fire the assistant coaches? I think it was nothing more than a function of Keefe kind of bringing in his own guys afterwards. He brought in Shaw. I think that's all it really was. You know, he inherited some of those guys, and he was like, all right, let me get my own guys now. I mean, it is what it is. Have you ever done any fishing? When I was a kid, not like anything serious, like fishing in the stupid small local pond. Richard, all right, Ace, here it is, the big. So it's funny, Richard, I watched the first few rounds, great fight, and I fell asleep. I was watching it late night after watching a bunch of hockey stuff. I got to finish it. But from what I saw, it was amazing. Yo Holmes says, no way, never. I can't see it. But I'm curious to what he said, what the context of whatever he's talking about with Bettman. I would like to do some research on it. Tasha Fitz saw Jack go down and realize the season would never turn out and just quit. Cerberus, why should they not be back if they are deemed innocent? It's a whole story for another day. But it's I would say it's a function of the society we live in today, where I could see a world where they could be acquitted, but still kind of blackballed from the league. I promise you the Devils won't sign him. So if that's just to put that out there, even if they're acquitted, the Devils definitely would not sign McLeod or any other guy involved in that. Now, would other teams? Maybe. It's possible. The Devils definitely would not, though. Bring back Oates and Stevens. What a time. What an era of Devils hockey behind the bench. Two legendary figures. One a forward and one a defenseman. Tasha says, I saw it. Bettman never said that. Chico says they can be found not legally guilty, but still have been scummy enough to not want them back on the Devils. Stupid play if they don't. Yeah, they never obviously a guy like McLeod's very difficult to replace. One of the best, bottom six guys in the league, was having like a record-setting face-off win percentage, I believe, when this all happened. And losing a guy for nothing like that, that's, performing, that could do a little bit of everything, and then, just losing him out of nowhere. That was a tough hand the Devils were dealt in a season where we were decimated with injuries as well. You can't really, well, what are you going to do? But replacing a guy like that, not easy to do. Not easy to do whatsoever. Yeah, face-off beast for sure. Yo, Holmes, acquittal is not innocent. Ask OJ. Chico, with all the awful things going on this year, I've kind of turned the trial out. I'll have to read up on it and get all the facts before I start opening my mouth. I've read a little bit. The trial's rather public in Canada. It really looks like they're going to either get off or just MM is in deep crab. Carter Hart for free is an easy yes for a smart team. Brendan, Ace, in your opinion, which of our Stanley Cup teams was the best, and could any of them have beaten Florida this year? I think it's a pretty easy pick for me in terms of, now I'm not talking about my favorite, favorite and all those things is a different world. But if you're just straight up talking about which one was the best, I'm going to have to go with the 2000 team easily. Was fully loaded, and they were one win away from repeating as back-to-back Cup champs before they ultimately fell in a devastating fashion. In 2001 Cup Finals to the Avalanche, they were up 3-2, Game 6 at home, Cup in the building. Your boy was in the building. They just didn't have it, lost, go out to Denver, lose Game 7 to the Avs, and they were so close to being back-to-back Cup champs. But I do think that 2000 Devils team would have beaten Florida just because it was a very, I even said in my video that I did about the Cup Finals that team kind of reminds me of that team a little bit in a way that they have all the ingredients you need. But in the end, Marty was just on a different level during that playoffs. Scott Stevens, Scott Niedermayer, you had Kenny Danico, Colin White. Our defense was great. Malikov. And then just the weapons up front with the A-line and Claude Lemieux, Bobby Holik, Randy McKay, Mogilny, Gomer. It was just such a great team. I think they would have beat them. Yeah, the 2000 or 2001. Yeah, I agree. Robert says, I'm the best at Devs trivia. Bring it. 2000 was loaded, but 95, they crushed everyone in the playoffs. Yeah, but I think the 95 was like a true team. But when you just look at the 2000 team, I'd have to say they were the best one. And coming back from a 3-1 deficit against the Flyers in the Eastern Conference Finals is crazy. Those Devils teams basically played a different sport, all the rule changes. That was 2 lockouts ago. That was the good old days. Panthers are tough for modern hockey, but Bennett would not last in the 7-game series against prime Scott Stevens. What a matchup. Robert, anyone remember Rupp walking naked during the interview? Yeah, you don't know. I don't remember that. Tasha, yeah, and it takes a toll on the guys, too, not knowing which of your goalies are starting for each game. Oh, that's in response to Oilers had a goalie issue from the get-go. Yeah, that's why they might sign Jake Allen. All right, that's it, guys. I got shit to do. It was great catching up with a lot of you. Fitzy has freed up nearly $3 million. Got to keep it moving. Yeah, keep freeing up money, and maybe we could go shopping. Check out if you haven't seen the Pandolfo interview for the old school fans, that's on the channel. I did an interview with Pandolfo. If you haven't seen that, check that out on the channel. Check out the Cup Finals video. I'll have a lot of stuff in the upcoming weeks. Draft, free agency, trade season, maybe. Any news, your boy will be back, but the videos will be coming out. Be more lives. I'm going to have a live in the next couple days, potentially next week, depending on other people's schedule, where I'm going to bring on special guests again. If you saw that roundtable I did a few months back, I'm going to do something like that with a bunch of Devils video creators and whatever else, podcasters, whatever you want to call it, and we'll be back. The summer of 25 continues. I'm enjoying my summer. I miss my hockey, but I love the summer, doing summer things. Let's free up money. And that's it, guys. I'll be back soon. Thank you all for joining. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.